You guys laughed at my opinion about this, but there's a clip going around now of Ric Flair walking off the Kill Tony podcast this week. Thought, so I'm getting to the subject of this. The question is, when did Ric Flair jump the shark? And for me personally, this is when I'm signing out on Ric Flair. I'll watch classic matches. I'll keep up with everything I loved about him in the past. But at this point, like, Ric Flair is done to me. I can't see anything new.
You don't want to see the next retirement match?
This is the lowest point I've seen him at. And it was just not a good look for him as an appearance. So you guys scoffed at this. When do you see his jumping the shark moment as?
I don't know. I mean,
15
There's a
years
lot of opinions about this because he's had several moments over the past 15 years.
Let's be clear about this. I love Rick. Rick was my childhood hero. He's who I wanted to be. Awesome wrestler. Ric Flair jumped the shark about 15 years ago when he had his retirement match in the WWE, and then he decided to come back and make an ass out of himself by working again in TNA.
Yeah,
he should have been retired at that time. He should have been done. He could have been doing commentary, coaching behind the scenes, whatever he wants to do. The other thing that you have to remember about Ric Flair's appearance here is Ric Flair has always been extremely sensitive.
Insecure,
sensitive. This show for him to go on, even at sober or drunk, this show for him to go on where they roast people is the absolute worst place for Ric Flair to be.
And Tony Cliff, who is a big fan of Rick and a huge fan of pro wrestling, who brought him on, I'm sure he looks awkward as hell in this. You can see this is not what he wanted to have happen, and it's unfortunate. Now, I guess we're a little different, and AJ's probably a little like me this too. I think maybe it's because we're just a little older and we're a little softer on Rick. I kind of take everything what Rick does with a grain of salt too. Yeah. I look at it like, he's fucking up again. I can't help it. If you announce to me that say Ric Flair is going to be on NWA or something, in my mind, don't do it. But part of me will always go, man, I hope he fucking hits a home run on the mic or something, or you know what I mean? In terms of a mic. But, physically, I don't ever want to see Rick back in the ring again. Ever. Now, whenever I see him on public appearances, it's always like, I hope he does good.
The problem is
this is one of those things that even on the end, he got on the mic and cut a promo to leave, and it was the saddest string of words I've ever seen Ric Flair put together. And
you're emotional, you're insecure, and you're drunk, and he obviously didn't understand the concept. Although Rick's been roasted before too, I thought. So I don't know what.
And it was also at the roast that he didn't do necessarily well at. I mean, I think he took it in stride, but it was one of those things where it was the worst idea. And I want to reiterate what AJ said, because I'm bringing this up and I'm bringing light to Ric Flair's lowest appearance and how I'm checking out on him. But still, huge fan from back in the day. He's the reason why the big gold belt is behind me. He made a name for it.
To me, Ric Flair is like Joe Namath. I'm a lifelong Jets fan. I love my Jets, no matter how bad they do. We always have that one shining light. We loved Joe Namath. However, when Joe shows up, you don't know what you're going to get. Are you going to get drunk Joe Namath who doesn't know to keep his hands off the interviewer and shut his mouth? Or are you going to get the guy who actually brings up good points? And that's where Ric Flair's at right now. Hey, I love to see him, but goddamn, I'm always terrified of what he's going to do.
Now, I'm going to ask a stupid question, but is this his last public appearance? Not ever, but is this the last thing he does, like, with an audience?
No, absolutely not.
He can't live without the spotlight.
He can't. And
you know what happens? I think early in the morning, Wendy sets him up with a little shaker of Dubby. And when he gets that Dubby going in his bloodstream, it gets him all fired up. And it does it without the jitters. So that AJ, way he's just motivated through the day and the blood's pumping.
AJ is so on the Dubby that he stepped on my little Ric Flair plug here, because I wanted to end the Ric Flair subject with the new Ric Flair book out by Tim Hornbaker, The Last Real World Champion. I started it. It's great. It starts going into the black market baby situation in that area of the country that resulted in Ric Flair getting adopted. So very in-depth, very good to start.